Broadcasting live from downtown Canton, Ohio, we're back with Pam Cook and Gary Rivers.
Yeah. Let's do this.
Let's do it. Let's find out. We're going to wade into the dating scene in 2017. Can you find true love at TrumpSingles.com?
What?
Yeah, that's one of the newest dating sites. There's all the traditional ones like, eHarmony and Match.com and all those. But let's find out all about this dating in the digital age with Donna Arp-Weitzman joining us this morning, a dating analyst. Good morning.
Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Real good. We have a question to start off. How do you become a dating analyst? I mean, how do I go to school to become that?
Well, maybe you start out by dating a lot and having some success and having not a lot of success, so we learn by trial and error. And also, I've written 2 books on dating. So.
Author of Sex and the Siren and Tales of a Later Dater. Love that. Well, let's just jump into this. Is dating any easier in the 21st century with this electronics, or is it just tougher?
Actually, I think it's tougher. Because for several reasons. One is the choices are so much greater with online dating, and it's easier for us to swipe left and not take a chance. So, and when we swipe left, of course, for those of us who have looked at online dating or have done online dating, that means we have rejected that person. So it's much easier to reject someone without ever meeting them or talking to them face to face.
Well, and that's the thing. You don't ever know what you're getting into. I mean, I've been through this. I've lived it. It can be scary. It can be very, very scary.
Was that picture 30 years ago? I don't know.
Well, he was an early one.
Yeah.
And everybody has a different motive, I guess.
Yeah,
Maybe
motive,
that's not
expectations.
Expectations, that's another good word. Everybody's in it for one thing or another, and you may not be in it for the same things.
I was going to talk about expectations. I think online dating has raised our expectations because we can be so critical or judgmental very early on. I mean, if someone doesn't have the right color hair, or perhaps their eyes aren't right, or perhaps they don't have the right profile or anything in the profile. So, our daters now have access to over 1 million possibilities, whereas, looking back, we didn't have those many possibilities. We had to meet someone at church or at the grocery store or be introduced. And so it was easier to meet face-to-face. Now it's, in fact, I just read a study on having sex before even having the first date, and 48%, the study said, of millennials have sex with the person before they ever go out on a date.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh, that's a staggering number.
Yes, it sure is.
It is a staggering number, I agree.
In the old school way of doing it, you did have some socioeconomic or proximity to that person, so you might have a lot more in common to start with, right?
And you knew the truth about them if somebody introduced you to them.
Right.
Yes. And proximity is a really good point, because you did know often your parents knew their parents. And so there was a lot of opportunity to get to know a person, whereas now the only thing you may know is their picture and their profile, and that may not even be correct. I mean, lying on the internet, as we all know, is fairly common nowadays. So,
what?
Like Pam says, your chances of really knowing the person before you go out with them is very, very low.
Well, what can you do to overcome that?
There are success stories out there. We do know that.
Yes, many. And the success stories are often the ones who take time to meet their date and to really spend some face-to-face time with them, get to know them, not jump into sex or marriage or anything permanently too quickly. And spend, as I say, walking and talking time.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what you have to do. You have to stand your ground, so to speak, and say, all right, here are my lines you cannot cross. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, but doing it with a smile and a friendly face. Because one of the things that I see pretty often now, especially with younger daters, is they're pretty militant in a way about, this is what I want, this is what I demand, and there has to be some flexibility. One of the things I wanted to mention too is older people, as my books talk about, or older being 40 and 45 and all the way up are using online dating much, much more than they were even a year ago. It's becoming more and more accepted because it is difficult to meet people in today's world.
Yeah, very true.
Well, you don't unless you're going to the same church, I suppose, or some of the same circles and groups and organizations you may or not be with. But if you're sitting at home and on TV all the time, watching Netflix, you're not meeting anybody.
That's right. And the older we get, the more likely we are to narrow our social circles. And so online dating for seniors now is becoming very popular. In fact, I just heard of a new dating site called Stitch, like a stitch in time, and it's for people who necessarily don't want to date but just need to meet people to go out to dinner and go to plays and movies and whatever. So
Companion.
That used to be the senior center?
Yeah, now it's online.
How about that? All right. Well, thank you so much. Always a pleasure talking today with Donna Arp Weitzman, author of Sex and the Siren, Tales of a Later Dater. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.